Correctional Services usually sees an increase in the smuggling of contraband, assaults on gang initiations and escape attempts from prison. It's reported that fewer cases are processed in this period, so prison numbers increase. Today, the department launches its festive season security operations at the Pollsmoor Correctional Centre in Tokai in Cape Town. Authorities will increase security with multi-disciplinary forces. We'll take you there live with our reporter Atule Joka. Atule, a very good morning to you. Give us a sense of occasion. Have proceedings begun?
Well, good morning to you, Desiree. We are coming to you from Pollsmoor maximum security prison. This is one of the maximum security prisons which houses some of most dangerous criminals here in South Africa. But over the years, it has since been divided into different compartments. We have compartments or sections that houses medium offenders and also those who are housing your juveniles, and the maximum security prisons and the section for females. But here today, the Department of Correctional Services is launching its festive season security operations. So what they were doing was trying to exercise their capacity in trying to make sure that they prevent some of the smuggling of the contrabands and the drugs inside the prisons, and also preventing the assaults and also the initiation of gangs members. You know that some of the members in the prison, what they do is that people, new inmates, when they come around, they try to initiate them by making them commit some of the heinous crimes. So the Department of Correctional Services is trying to come here to prohibit some of those things. We understand that yesterday the department was conducting some of those operations in the communities to speak to some of the parolees who are on paroles to see if they're abiding by their paroles. This morning they were conducting those operations, but I do have the National Commissioner, Mr. Tokai, of the Correctional Services. Please talk to us about the operations that you conducted yesterday and also this morning. What have you found?
The operations that we conducted last night were divided into two. The first operation was to go and do monitoring of our parolees. We are monitoring parolees that are categorized differently. There are those that do not comply with the parole conditions, and there are those that do comply. Those that do comply, we went to them, we went to their families to say, please help them, encourage them to continue to comply. Those that do not comply, we went in on the basis of their transgressions, we went in to actually met out the disciplinary steps that we normally met out in terms of the regulations. The last two parolees that we visited were on final warning. So they were actually due to be rearrested because we realized that it is not possible for them to continue to be in communities when they violated their parole conditions to that extent. So we rearrested one. We're still working with the police to rearrest the other. But the other message that we're sending to the community is that when our parole officers go into communities to do the monitoring work, they need to welcome them. They need to ensure that they are safe, because more than often our officers get attacked, our cars get damaged. But what we're trying to do is to make sure that we provide these parolees with support. We monitor them so that they don't go back into crime. And communities have got a role to play in that, because we are saying rehabilitation is a societal responsibility.
Okay, Mr. Tokai, also speaking of those contraventions, here, every year, you are always conducting these operations to try and prevent the smuggling of these contrabands. But it seems like every year you are managing to find things here. What is the causing of the smuggling? How are they smuggling them? And what is preventing you from making sure to clamp it down completely?
Well, there will always be those that attempt to break the regulations, to break the law. Yes, we always find objects and illegal substances that are not allowed in our facilities. Some of them are brought by the visitors, members of the families or the friends when we have opened for visits. Some of them are brought by the offenders themselves, the remand detainees who go to court. When they come back, they present that risk And the last category, some of them are brought by our own members. So to curb and stop these substances and objects from making it into our facilities, we employ a security plan, starting with making it a point that our searches are concise and precise, both on the inmates and also our own officials. There are arrests that are made. We work with SABS to make those arrests, especially where we find illegal substances like drugs. But at the same time, we also discipline our own members. So our own members know that when they engage in such activities, they run a risk of actually losing their jobs.
And also in this operation, did you find any in one of your employees?
No, not in this operation. We ran an operation from 4 o'clock in the morning. We were checking the change of shifts and we were searching all of them. We implemented one of the good strategies in Pollsmoor. Our members are no longer bringing in their cars into the facilities. They park their cars at the outside entrance. So that has minimized, because the cars were actually a high risk in terms of bringing contraband into the facility.
And also, do you know what's the capacity here and also the members that you have here of inmates? I want to speak about the overcrowding in cells. Also going into this fourth wave, how are you preparing for it?
Well, the overcrowding has to also to do with the capacity, the bed capacity we have in the institutions. You will also recognize that we get an order of court to incarcerate a particular individual or a number of individuals. Now, we relate that to the number of beds that we have. In instances where the number of beds do not match, we have to make it a point that we find space within our own facilities to increase the capacity. So overcrowding unfortunately continues to be with us, because it also depends on the pace on which we build new facilities. But what we should be focusing on as South Africa, as communities, is to make it a point that there are deterrents enough for people not to offend, so that we don't find a lot of traffic into correctional facilities.
Coming to my last question, COVID-19, the regulations, how will you make sure that with the fourth wave coming, that you are making sure that there are stringent measures to prevent this?
Yeah, we have a vaccination drive. We launched the first vaccination drive in July. Yesterday, we launched the second vaccination drive. At the moment, looking at our own population of offenders, inmates, we are at 76% in terms of the vaccination rate. We are at more than 50% in terms of the vaccination rate of our own officials. We continue to observe the protocols that have been there that are necessary to prevent the transmission of the virus. When a new inmate comes into the facility, we test them, we assess them, we isolate them for 10 days to make sure that when they join the larger population, they do not actually transmit the virus. So we are very strict with those conditions to make it a point that they sanitize, they wear masks. By the way, the masks that they wear, they themselves produce those masks as part of their rehabilitation program.
Mr. Tobakala, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that was the National Commissioner of Department of Correctional Services in South Africa, speaking to us about some of those stringent measures that they have put in place to prevent the spread of COVID-19 inside the correctional facilities, saying, of course, they do supply inmates with PPEs. Some of those are made particularly by them. Saying, of course, the issue of smuggling of contrabands, because I posed a question to him to say every year there are these operations whereby they are trying to prevent the smuggling of contrabands, some of those illegal substances. Is saying this is due to some of the members who go to their trial, and then when they're coming back, they come back with those substances. And also the third part is that some of the correctional services employees, some of them do supply some of the inmates with some of those. So he's saying they are trying to clamp up on those, and also they've put in measures in place, such as making sure that employees do not park their cars inside the precinct of this particular facility. Back to you, Desiree.